Hi everyone, and welcome to another video from the Wired for Sussex team. So my colleague here is Steve Costello. I am Patience Modevi, and what we do with those little short videos is that we look at a subject, something that's happened in our society, or somebody posted, and we then develop on it to give you some tips or advice, or even to point on certain things that we feel have come. So this week, we're going to talk to you about behaviors. So your behavior that could be affected by different things, and how your teenagers or your children are then perceiving you through those behaviors. So, Steve, what do you think we should start with?
Hi, Patience. Yeah, I've got a couple of examples of this sort of things. So things our children notice, and they notice a million things, and I know my kids notice things that I don't. And somebody will make little comments about something fairly innocent, and I'll say, "Oh, wow, I didn't think of that. Oh, wow, I didn't know I did that." Most of the time, these things kind of don't matter. They just drift along. It's just part of life. But sometimes they do matter. And we were just having that conversation a few minutes about alcohol. So I'm going to put myself into the fray and give you an example of something that I was doing, was not being the operative word. So every day I ride my mountain bike. Every day is 5 days out of 7. So it's almost every day of the week. So I ride my mountain bike very hard and I do some crazy things. I enjoy it. The kids worry. They worry when I share things like my speed record going down a particular hill because it's very fast. And I didn't realize just how much they were worrying about the speed I was making down this particular hill. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
So I had to think about that. Okay, I need to think about them. It's not just about my enjoyment, it's about their concern as well. So that was one thing. And then another thing that I was doing, and this is mostly on summer days. So I would have a bike ride, finish the ride, cool down, take a shower, get changed, do something else, and then I would sit down and enjoy a beer in the sunshine. Maybe 2 beers, but not a lot, 1 or 2. And then one of my children noticed that I was having 1 or 2 beers almost every weekday. And I hadn't realized. And that began to affect her. You shouldn't be drinking this much. This isn't good for you. You're drinking more than the recommended daily allowance, or whatever we call it, the number of units per week. And I hadn't realized that I was doing that. And that made me take a breath like, whoa, I need to think about this. I practiced mindfulness, but I wasn't very mindful of what I was drinking. So what do you think about that, Patience?
Oh, it's such a topic, and I know we won't have time to like develop everything here, but there's so many things to say about that. First of all, in the two stories that you shared with us, what I found is that what I found that is positive is that you kind of like reflected on what was said to you, and also you reflected on the impact it had. So you weren't aware of your action having that impact on your children, but the fact that they mentioned it and you took it on board, it made you rethink, oh, what's going on here? Not only for you, but for the good of everyone, basically. And I found that this is where you can see, I mean, not this is where you can see the communication, and how um, communication is not just about what is said. Communication is also about what is unsaid, what is being done, like as an act, and also is what can happen after. So from one, um, so from something that is really For you, maybe is amazing. You're really happy about the fact that you're going down the hill so fast and you finding joy in it. You never realize that there could be something being scary for someone else there. All you saw was the enjoyment that you had. So through that behavior, although you had this positive outcome for yourself, there was another perception. And I think all of those perceptions are part of the communication. And what we are always trying to do with Steve, especially with Wired for Success, is for parents and for professionals to understand that there is different perception and how it is that you can understand the full spectrum of it and how can you put it in a way that is going to be positive. And I feel like this is exactly the process. The process is this action has happened, you've been told the perception, you reflected on it, you understood, and then you kind of modify your behavior or you communicate in another way what happens. Because the idea is not to completely stop the other person having their fun or having, their enjoyment, but it's to have like a back and forth. That's what I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
brilliant. Thanks, Patience. I just had a thought that kind of came in toward the end of what you were just saying. So you mentioned reflection, you mentioned feedback as well, and perhaps not as directly as I'm thinking now. So I just want to go back to my childhood when I was probably 12, at least 12 years old, and perhaps a little bit older. So at that time, at the weekends, my parents would go out to a local club and they would party with their friends and they would drink probably too much. And then they would come home, I don't know what time, past 11 o'clock at night. And when they came in the house, I was always wary. Nothing bad ever happened, but they were different. Why they were different was because they were affected by the alcohol. And usually they were quite jolly, they were a little bit louder than usual. They weren't particularly loud parents, but they were louder than usual. So I turned off a little bit. I didn't really want to go to them when they came in. I kept my distance. Not that nothing ever happened, but I just felt that I shouldn't go too close. So that was an interesting thought. It didn't ever occur to me to say, hey, Mum and Dad, I think you drink too much sometimes. Hey, Mum and Dad, this is how I feel when you come in. And the reason why I didn't do that was because we weren't encouraged to give kind of feedback to us.
Yeah.
Today, however, as I mentioned my own beer example, my kids do give feedback, and it's so important. It's important that they give me feedback just as I can give them feedback the way I see acting in the world. So I think that's important. Feedback is difficult to give sometimes. It's
Yes.
also difficult to receive. So we've got to be aware of different aspects of feedback. So maybe that is something that we will need to cover in the Parents Time Out event, which is coming up next Wednesday. Details will be out about that very soon. But basically, Parents Time Out, Wednesday the 2nd of November at 8 o'clock UK time. It's about 1 hour. It's not going to be a big event. And it will be covering a lot of these short videos that we've been releasing over the last few weeks. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And it's all about parents. It's all about parents. It's not about kids. It is about kids. We're going to mention them, but really for parents, not for young people. So that should be interesting.
Yes. And I love it. I think one thing that we have to mention here is that in our videos we can't give you um, the full advice maybe, or even if we were to spend an hour with you, we might not be able to give you the full advice. But the idea is to start something. So if we sparked a little bit of your curiosity, and you feel like, oh, this is something maybe I need to work on, then definitely you need to be there at our event next week.
Next Wednesday. Yes. Let's talk for a minute then about reflection. So you mentioned it, Patience. Being able to reflect on what our children say to us is absolutely crucial. Be able to reflect without judgment is a big challenge. Not easy. Why not? Because we're taught to judge from pretty much from the day we're born. Simple judgments at first, they become more and more complex as we get older, as we start school and so on. Everybody's judging else, teachers are judging our performance, blah, 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 the story goes on. So reflecting without judgment takes some practice. Now, we can present some exercises to sharpen up our reflection skills, to sharpen our reflection without judgment skills. And we can do that, and we'll do some of that in the workshop coming up, and probably in some of these videos as well. So just think about it. Think about reflecting. Is it one of your superpowers, or do you need to practice it a little bit? Just think it through. I'm not going to give you more information about today because, as Patience said, we could be a couple of hours, and it's not going to make much difference. Patience, would you like to sum up?
I think I think we've said everything. The idea here as today's video is to tell you that your behavior, even if it's enhanced by something else, can affect your children. How can you keep the communication going is exactly what we're trying to push here, and to also ensure that you understand the subtlety into what's happening. So it's not the idea is not so. I just want to clarify here. Sorry, the idea is not to tell you listen to everything that is said all the time, every feedback, every criticism, or every. No, that's not the idea. The idea is how we create a balance between our own well-being and our children's well-being. So this is what we're here for, to help you and to support you in doing that.
Absolutely. So you can contact Patience or myself via WhatsApp or by telephone if you prefer. So for Patience, it's UK 44 795 251 For myself, I'm in France on 33767 So contact us on WhatsApp. We'll get back to you. And it's half term this week, so Patience and I have our own little challenges on top of our work. Great fun, loving it. Okay, we'll see you again next week. Hopefully, we'd love to see you at Parents' Time Out next Wednesday. Details will be out on Facebook very, very soon. If not, we'll see you here via this video. Take care. Have a great week.